Are you living in Spain or about to move here and looking for local platforms where you can make your money work for you? In this video, I'm going to show you 3 of the most popular platforms that investors and savers in Spain make use of. Let's get right into it. So the 3 platforms I'm going to show you in this video are all Spanish platforms. That means they come with certain advantages for Spanish tax residents, particularly when it comes to reporting capital gains, losses, and dividends to the tax authorities in Spain, Hacienda. Because they're Spanish platforms, they will already withhold any dividend or capital gains tax due, and that will appear automatically in your tax declaration draft when it's time to do the annual tax declaration, rather than having to fill that out manually with separate forms as you would have to do with a non-Spanish broker. And all of these platforms as well are covered and regulated by the CNMV, the Comisión Nacional de Mercado de Valores, which is essentially the financial regulator when it comes to investing in Spain. And so the 3 platforms that we're going to look at today are suitable for everyday investors, they're suitable for people looking to make pension contributions, and they're also suitable for property investors or aspiring property investors as well. And so we're going to start with the first platform, which is Indexa. Now, Indexa is most well known for 2 services on the platform, one being for the robo-investing or robo-advisor service, and the other being for the planes de pensiones or pension plans that they offer as well. And so you can either set up a recurring contribution to a robo-advisor fund or an individual pension plan. And basically when you start, Indexa will give you a questionnaire with a list of questions to determine your risk profile. And based on that, they will determine your portfolio allocation in terms of variable asset income, essentially stocks, known as renta variable in Spanish, and renta fija, fixed asset income, such as bonds. And so the greater your risk profile, essentially the more stocks and equities you'll have in there versus bonds. And as I can say, you can set this up either on a recurring basis, so on a monthly basis, quarterly basis, twice annual basis, or yearly basis, or you can make one-time contributions as well. And particularly when it comes to the pension plan contributions, the platform will also tell you how much you've contributed of your limit and how much more you can still contribute. That said, if you've got other pension plans, for example, an employer pension plan that's not with Indexa, then it won't take that into account, and that's something that you'll have to keep in mind and calculate yourself. And so the investing commissions for using Indexa are 0.487% per year, as you can see in the screenshot here. And the good thing about Indexa, I would say overall, is that it's very user-friendly. As I say, it's pretty much just working through that questionnaire for it to determine your risk profile. You'll set up your contributions, and then you don't really need to do much after that. Honestly, I've invested with Indexa in the past, and honestly, I've spent so little time on the platform because it's so straightforward and it just doesn't really need that much upkeep from you. So as I say, it's very nice and easy to get set up, and then once it's set up, you can pretty much leave it and, check in from time to time as you like, but it really is pretty straightforward and user-friendly to use. One other thing they've got as well is a current account offering interest, so a cuenta murada, as it's known in Spanish. Starting from 10,000 euros up to a balance of 350,000 euros, you can get 1.5% interest on your balance. So overall, a very simple, very easy, user-friendly platform, particularly for those who are not really into the whole following the stock market thing, looking at index funds, ETFs, and they just want to set up a risk profile, set it and forget it, then Indexa is really a great platform if that sounds like you. Now, the next platform we're going to talk about is a much more complete and much more comprehensive investing platform, which is MyInvestor. And so, as I say, like Indexa, it offers a robo-advisor service, robo-investing service. It's also got pension plans, including plans that can be set up in a similar way to Indexa based on your risk profile, but you can also choose from a longer list of dedicated planes de pensiones that are available across Spain from different asset management groups. In addition to all of that, you've also got a brokerage service as well, where you can buy global stocks and ETFs, particularly North American and European listed assets, such as Euronext stocks or stocks listed on the New York Stock Exchange. You can also access global ETFs through asset managers like iShares, Vanguard, Xtrackers, etc. Important to note, though, is that from the 26th of January this year, the platform is applying a €1 minimum commission per transaction. And they also increased the maximum commission on stocks from €20 to €25, depending on how much you're buying as well. It does mean that, for example, if you were investing weekly in the past, it might not make sense if you're not investing large amounts because, the fee percentage of what you're investing will increase. So you might switch that to a monthly investment, for example. And there's also a 0.3% currency exchange fee as well. For example, if you're buying stocks listed on the New York Stock Exchange or on the London Stock Exchange, then you'll need to pay that 0.3% currency conversion fee as well. For more aggressive and experienced investors as well, MyInvestor also offers VC and private equity investment opportunities as well. Essentially giving investors who are interested in this access and the opportunity to invest in funds that are specialized in targeting non-listed companies with a much higher target return than you would expect to get through an index fund or an ETF. The platform says a target return of 14% if you're looking to invest in these VC or private equity funds. And MyInvestor also has some financing products as well, but they're particularly unique in terms of how they're set up. So what you can do actually is, if you've got investments on the platform, is you can take out a loan, but at the same time borrowing against your investments on the platform, allowing you to borrow at a much lower rate than a traditional loan. And so of course you can borrow that money for a range of different possibilities. Maybe it's a house refurbishment, maybe you need to buy a car. I've also heard of cases of people who borrow that money to invest it back on the platform and buy more shares. But for those of you that know me, I'm quite cautious when it comes to debt and financing. So if you are going to do something like this, of course, do it sensibly and do it carefully. And MyInvestor also offers mortgages as well for people who are looking to buy a house, including a 100% mortgage option as well, where you're taking advantage of local and regional initiatives where, for example, the autonomous community acts as a guarantor for that first 20%. So you can get access to these kind of mortgages through MyInvestor. And then you've also got a number of insurance products and current accounts also available with MyInvestor as well. So bringing all that together, you can see it's a pretty complete platform. You know, arguably you could set up all your banking needs in that platform if you wanted to, but of the best features that it has, in my opinion, are the brokerage services and the different investing products that it has. And whilst I haven't used any of the loan products on MyInvestor, just out of need, haven't really needed to, so it can definitely be something worth looking into if you're considering buying a house in Spain, or if you're considering, taking out a loan for whatever that may be. But, if you have investments and you can use that to offset or set it aside as collateral, it can be a way to lower that interest rate on the loan for you. And I think if you've got more interest, more knowledge and insight into investing, and you want to take maybe a more hands-on or active approach, or there's particular funds or investments that you want to make, then this is perhaps a really good platform to do that. And I think MyInvestor overall is better for people who have more experience or more knowledge and want to take a more active approach to investing because of the range of stocks, ETFs, index funds that it has on the platform. And as a result, you can set up your investments and invest in, a range of different assets as you want. And the last platform we're going to talk about is the leading property crowdfunding site in Spain, which is Urbanitae. I did a dedicated video about the platform where I talk about it in more detail. So I'll leave the link up here if you want to go into more details about it. But essentially, Urbanitae offers potential investors in Spanish property the option to invest in Spanish real estate and benefit from a market that is growing quite fast and potentially has high returns on some projects from as little as 500 euros through their different projects. And so you've got three types of projects that are the most common that you'll find on Urbanitae. The first being equity projects. This might happen with, for example, a new build project where the developer is building a whole new set of properties. And what they'll do is essentially set up an SPV, a special purpose vehicle, an entity, essentially a legal entity dedicated for that project. And with investors' money, they will use that money to fund the project. And then once all the properties are sold, any net profit gets distributed out to the shareholders of that special purpose vehicle, which is you, the investor. And these projects typically have the highest potential for return, but they're also the most risky because of the financing setup and often due to the timelines of the project, how things can be delayed. Things like that can mean that your return on investment can be affected over the long term. You've also got loan projects, which is essentially where you act as a lender to the developer who is renovating, who is building the property, and then you're repaid an interest at the end of the loan term, usually on completion of the project. Typically not as high returns as in the equity projects, but more likely to be repaid unless the developer defaults on the loan. But as I say, as long as they don't default, then that return on the loan is essentially what you will get back. And then finally, you've got what the platform called dividend projects. Now, these are essentially rental income projects. So what you'll do is, for example, they've got a property, you will invest in that property, and then that property will generate a rental income through the tenants, which will be paid out as a dividend to the shareholders. Again, that will be you. So you most likely get that on a quarterly basis. So if you're looking for passive income or cash flow, that's a good way to find those projects. Very recently as well, the platform has also opened up to direct investments, where instead of investing, as little as 500 euros, which can be the case with all the projects I mentioned earlier, if you've got significant capital and you're willing to invest in individual properties, the platform does list individual properties in this new section that they've set up called direct investments, where you can invest in that property as an investor. And so the good thing about this platform, as I say, is that it gets you exposure to Spanish real estate with very low minimum capital requirements, starting at 500 euros upwards. And unless you're going down the direct investment route, then you kind of avoid a lot of the points of uncertainty or major risks, let's say, that a lot of investors fear when it comes to investing in property in Spain. And you're most likely looking at a higher than average return than you would get from the stock market as well. In Urbanitae on the website puts, for example, that the average project returns 12.3% to the investors. That said, as I mentioned in the first video I did, a lot of these projects are very competitive. There's a lot of people who want to invest in them, a lot of people who've got capital. So if you do want to invest, you pretty much got to be on the website when it opens and ready on the dot to hit invest. Because I'm not kidding, I've seen projects that close in less than 10 seconds. And we're talking projects here that are looking to raise, 4 or 5 million euros at times. And within 10 seconds, as I say, the project is fully funded. But I won't go into that in too much detail. As I say, there's more in the detailed video I did on Urbanitae before. All right, guys, there you go. 3 platforms you can look at if you're considering investing money in Spain and you want to have some local platforms. I hope you found this video interesting and informative. Leave a comment and let me know if you're using any of these platforms. If you're thinking about using any of these platforms, I'd love to hear your opinion. I'll leave the links to them in the video description as well. There may be 1 or 2 affiliate links in there as well, just to let you know. And if you like this video and you want to see more about investing in Spain or property in Spain, then be sure to check out these 2 videos here. Till next time, I'll see you on the next one, and let's get this money.